It's time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time I'll be talking with Newton Mayor Randy Ervin. Last time I had a chance to chat with him, he was running unopposed for mayor. Of course, he's been on the city council for a number of years, and I went to school with Randy and worked with him at a radio station in Des Moines for a period of time. We go way back together, and he's a very interesting guy to talk to. And this podcast, when it was recorded, went on for 40 minutes. And of course, I try not to have my podcast go on for that long. So what I did was I split this into two parts. So what you're hearing today is part one of our podcast. And part two will be uploaded late Monday night into Tuesday morning. So listen for part one now, and then Monday night, Tuesday morning, you'll hear part two with Newton Mayor Randy Ervin. And by the way, my podcast that I had with Randy before he was officially elected mayor was one of the most listened to podcasts too. So a very interesting guy to talk to. He has lots of thoughts in mind about the future of the city and things going on, including franchise fees and responses to the young man who a couple mayors ago was handcuffed and carted away at a city council meeting, and you'll hear his comments on that. And there's some positive news to talk about in terms of the city of Newton and possible new businesses and industry coming to Newton too. There's just a wide range of things that we discuss in this podcast too, and I think you're going to enjoy it also. So hang on for our discussion with Newton Mayor Randy Ervin. Our sponsors include Newton Clinic. On their Facebook page, they say your health should feel personal, and that's definitely true. At Newton Clinic, they say they're proud to serve the community, caring for neighbors, families, and generations right here at home. When you walk through their doors, you're not just a patient, you're part of the community at Newton Clinic. And don't forget, their newest provider is Kinsey Heiser. You should check her out. There's a video introducing Kinsey on their Facebook page too at Newton Clinic. Also, Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. I tell you what, they have great service there, and I know that when my car needs help or Little Red's car needs help, we always contact Ryan's Tire and Auto. They have great service there, and with the support of the customers and big-heartedness from the folks at Ryan's Tire and Auto, for heaven's sakes, they were able to donate $500 to the Jasper County Fair. And of course, sadly last year, Ryan lost his father, and his father had a passion for agriculture, and when his father passed away, Ryan's family donated the memorial money to the Newton FFA. So that was a big thing too. And if you look on Ryan's Facebook page, he has created a scholarship for youngsters involved in automotive work. And you can find out all about that scholarship too with Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton, with that scholarship for youngsters interested in automotive work. Also, another sponsor is Wesley Life Park Center. You can pursue your joy at Park Center by offering living options across a continuum. Park Center provides vital, enriching environments for everyone. It's a community for healthy living focused on holistic health and well-being. Their programming enhances emotional, intellectual, and spiritual wellness and enables you to live a life that's healthier in every way. Park Center is at home in Newton, with many residents and team members having lived in their lives. To learn more about Park Center's different levels of living and to find the lifestyle that's right for you, contact Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. That's 641-791-5000. Another fine sponsor is Advantage Credit Union.
If you've been fouled by your financial institution, then blow the whistle. This is Coach Miles from Advantage Credit Union with some one-on-one for a financial victory. At ACU, you're treated like you own the team because you actually do. Advantage Credit Union offers great deposit rates. You actually earn interest instead of paying a monthly fee at you know where.
Bank shot! Good!
If you live or work in Jasper County or 18 other central Iowa counties, you are eligible to join. Visit us in downtown Newton or online at acuiowa.org. It's a game winner at ACU.
Member NCUA.
It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout, and this time around, I am excited to be talking to a guy who, last time I talked to him, he wasn't the mayor yet. He was running unopposed as the mayor. I knew he was going to become the mayor, but he was like, I don't know. I might have some write-in votes, but he did become the mayor, and that's Randy Ervin. We call him Erv. And thanks for joining me, Randy. I appreciate this.
Thanks, Jamie. I always enjoy an opportunity to sit down and chat with an old friend. So
Yes.
I appreciate you.
And we are old friends. And I just want to say from the onset that we do go way back. We were in high school drama together, and we even worked at the same radio station together many years ago. We know a lot of the same people together. And it's hard for me to separate our friendship from when I do this podcast as a journalist, because I have to try to do that. Although the last podcast I did get a compliment from a fellow journalist on asking you tough questions. So I'm not always going to go easy on you. That having been said, I don't know if you saw it or not, when the newspaper published the thing about you being attacked both online and getting phone calls about the gentleman who was found to have had his First Amendment rights violated at the Newton City Council meeting. I stood up for you because I think it's totally unfair that you are being attacked. And I did say, cut Irv some slack. He's a good man, and he wasn't even mayor when this happened. And I feel bad for you, Randy, that you are being attacked personally. I knew it wouldn't be easy for you being mayor when you took this on, and I give you props for that. So I just want people to know that from the outset. I do want to ask you, though, however, you were on the city council, were you not, when that happened?
I was, but anybody that was there that night witnessed how to go on. But even as a city council person sitting there really was no way for us to intervene in the process as it happened. And so I can't talk a lot yet about that specific event because there is still the court system. But it's one of those things that has to play out. And every time we get a ruling, like came out about 2 weeks ago, where there was I believe 9 articles, and the judge ruled in the opposition for 8 of those, and the city 1 of those. Every time that comes out, and it's obviously in the appeals approach and all that, every time that comes out and hits the media, what it does is then the media broadcasts that to the coast. And then there are certain channels out there that are literally waiting for stories like this. And then people all over the country and just don't put it into a timeline. So one gentleman that called me, and I try to answer the phone as much as I can because I know constituents in the city call me. People call me with concerns and questions all the time. And one of my big assets is I want to be obtainable. I want people to pick up the phone and say, hey, Randy, how do we deal with this together? So I answered the phone, and a gentleman proceeded to call me some pretty obscene names and call me out and call my family out. And finally I said, sir, can I ask you what this is in regards to? And he goes, well, it's the ruling on this case. And I said, you understand that was 2 mayors ago? Dead silence for about 10 seconds. And then it was, oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't look at the timeline. And I think that's true on probably 95% of the information that's been thrown at me lately is people don't sit back and look at the facts. They just see a flash mob and say, I'm sitting behind my keyboard, I'm going to call it. I had one guy call me 17 times, left 9 voicemails end to end. So he'd fill up my voicemail, call back, fill it up, call it, and fill it up. And if it was a legitimate concern, I would absolutely listen to him and have dialogue. But the language is some of the worst I've heard in my life. There's emails that came to, and I'll share one with you because, I can't come out and read some of this stuff because it's not fit. I mean, it's not. But I'll shoot you an email when we're done with this so that you can see just an example of what I'm dealing with. And I don't say this to have everybody go, oh, poor Randy. I don't believe in that. But what I don't want is I don't want this kind of negativity to bring us down as a city. We have so many positive, exciting things coming down the pipe that we don't need to waste our time on this stuff. Is it a bad deal for the city that event happened? Absolutely. Is it a bad city for the mayor at that time? Absolutely. Does the young man have rights? Absolutely. And we can't forget that. So, but that's not what we're here about today. We're here talking about what are the positives in Newton? How are we going to attack the state legislation right now, which is killing us with property taxes going forward. There's just so many other topics that we've got to address and attack and be positive about, that we can't let opportunities like this drag us down.
Can you discuss without, I knew you say you couldn't intervene that night. Can you discuss what you were thinking that night when that happened?
I really can't at this point, because if I was to say something wrong, the attorneys would get a hold of it, and next thing you know, I'm in court explaining what I said. But I can just tell you that there was 6 of us on the city council, and the way things advanced as quickly as they did on both those nights, the city council really didn't have a lot to say. People will say, well, you were there, you should have stood up for this young man. Well, that's easy to say from the cheap seats, but it was a direct reaction between him and the mayor, and that's how it happened. So there was never an opportunity for any of us sitting up there saying, wait a minute, let's put this aside. It was just too quick.
I got to ask you something. This is on a personal level.
Sure.
And again, you and I go way back. We're friends. So this is something that I've been concerned about for a long time. And that is the fireworks. You're a big advocate of fireworks. And the guy who I do the morning show with on WHO, Jeff Angelo, big fireworks guy, and they're legal in the state of Iowa now. But you ever get any complaints from anybody with PTSD? Because the first year that they were allowed, I lived in an apartment complex that was just south of the square. And people in houses around us were letting them off when they weren't supposed to be being let off. And people in the apartment complex were freaking out. It was really bad, Randy.
Yeah.
Do you ever get any complaints about that? Now, I will say this before you respond. It has gotten better. And we moved into a house way on the west side of Newton out by Thomas Jefferson. And it has gotten better. So I don't know whether it's the police or being more responsible or whatever, but it has slowly gotten better, and it's not as bad as it was. But do you ever hear from people who say, Randy, what's the deal with the fireworks? And I'm not against the fireworks that were held at the Speedway. They were great, and it's fantastic, but there are people who have PTSD that just could not handle it.
You know, I think that's a great question, actually, because there are sides to this fence, if you will. And I was a big advocate before I was even on the city council. But one of the commitments that I made to everybody when I jumped on the city council and when I ran for mayor, I was not going to advocate for any more than what we had already decided on as a city. I think the city council at the time did an excellent job of doing what they should do, which is protect both sides of the fence. They were on the verge of banning fireworks completely. And through discussion and through some serious explanations, we were allowed to keep 3 hours on July 4th from 8 to 11, period. Anything outside of that was illegal, and yet people didn't respect that. And so they did shoot them when they shouldn't have. We have had our fire and police chief have both done an excellent job of increasing the fines, holding people accountable to being only shooting them when they did. You've seen our citizens' complaints drop considerably over the last 3 years. But there's some things, I use this example a lot, actually, in different events that I go to. That's a great example right now of what's going on with the state legislature. The more we can control at the local level is better for everybody. Because as you go up the hill, if you will, to the state house or even to the national government, every time you go to the next level of government to make decisions, they have to make decisions for everybody, and they have to keep the even keel. And so you get less and less personal attention to it. We had 3 hours every year. People understood it. More and more people respected that 3 hours, and I think we were getting under control. The legislature got involved last year and decided that wasn't good enough, that cities couldn't control this on their own, because you had several cities that blanket didn't allow the shooting of fireworks. And so people continued to voice their concerns. And so the state legislature said, okay, the cities obviously can't handle this, so we're going to mandate it from the state level. And what they did is they actually went out and mandated that anybody could shoot fireworks on the 3rd, the 4th, and December 31st. Well, now we went from 3 hours to 3 days. So I disagree with that. I'm a big advocate of fireworks, but you should never shoot them off on New Year's Eve. And the reason for that is anybody that's handled fireworks will tell you you can't be in a dry environment. And there's not much drier than winter with the air, with the brush, with the trees. Everything's in a dormant mode. So when you start a fire in December, you're asking for trouble. So I personally would have been just fine with the 3 hours. Although I can't get off of this podcast talking about fireworks without talking about Debbie at PJ's Deli. Okay. Debbie was a classmate, graduated in '79. Can't walk in there without her telling me, I still get fireworks every day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I do have some people that are concerned, but I'm okay with that because there should be two sides to every story.
All right. Let's talk about property taxes. It's a big thing. Again, I work at WHO, and people on the right and people on the left concerned about property taxes. Randy, and maybe I think you spoke at Rotary, and I might have even mentioned it in the question and answer session. We've had elderly people calling up in tears, afraid that they were going to lose their homes because they can't pay their property taxes. It's out of line in the state of Iowa. Your thoughts?
Well, I think there's a couple points here that everybody needs to understand. There's a group out there called Citizens for Tax Relief, and they do a study of every community, every county in the state of Iowa. And I'm very proud of the fact that Jasper County and the city of Newton are both what they call green, which means we are very much in line with our taxing and our spending. So they keep an eye on us to make sure that we're not spending stupid ways. And we are both at the county and city level of Newton are very respectful of how we spend people's money. But again, now the states get involved because you're hearing two different coins. To use simple, it's either heads or tails. The legislatures, like our John Dunwell that represents Newton, if he goes out and talks in a forum, the number one thing he hears is our property taxes are too high. If I go out and I hold that same forum in the city government, I hear, when are you going to provide this service or the roads or the pool so that from my standpoint, my constituents are asking me about spending money on services. John and the state folks are hearing my property taxes is too high. Mm-hmm. And those shouldn't be the same conversation. They actually should be two different conversations. And again, like I said earlier, when you start elevating things up the hill, they have to make legislation that's going to cover everybody. Mm-hmm. So right now in the State House, there's 3 projects out there, one by the House, one by the Senate, and one by the governor. They're not very similar. They're 3 completely different bills. The only one thing that they all have in common is a 2% cap on city taxes. And we're fine. The city of Newton can live with that. 26, 27, 28, we're fine. In 29, and it's my goal to look 3 to 5 years out for the safety of my people in the city, we're $1.2 million upside down. So we've got to figure out because you can only cut so much out of a city government. We've not replaced the last 2 staff level managers that have left our departments. We've not replaced them. So we've cut in those areas. At the same time, we've produced more services in the last 2 years than we have probably in the last 10 to 12 years. The city streets that we've done over the last couple of years. So when I go out and talk to people, I agree. One of the 3 that's on the floor right now says that people 65 and older in their own homes paid off, their house is less than $350,000, their property tax will never go up. I'm okay with that. If we never go up, but they still need to pay their property taxes that they're paying today. One of the others is just the opposite. If you're 65 and older, own your home, $350,000 or more, you pay no taxes. Now, if I tell you that, because you and I are both 65 over, both of us, we're like, hey, that's a great idea.
You bet.
But now where does the city get the rest of the money for the police and the fire and the library and the pool? The people left that's not 65 their tax base is going to jump so much that it's going to price us out of the market.
Sure.
So you have to be careful what you ask for.
Right.
I do believe 65 and older should be protected from growth, but at the same time, I don't think we can just eliminate them from the tax roll. The city will go broke.
Let's talk about franchise fees. That seems to be a controversial issue. For those who don't understand, what is that all about, Randy?
So a franchise fee, and just for the record, I've been against this all 7 years I've been involved in city government. Never wanted to talk about franchise fees and still don't like it. A franchise fee is we will agree with, I'll use Black Hills as an example. Black Hills will now add whatever we come up with as a franchise fee will be added to your monthly bill.
Let me jump in. Is it a tax?
No, it's a fee.
Okay.
It's a fee just like you go to restaurants nowadays. A lot of restaurants will give you a 3% discount or a 3% add-on if you use a credit card.
I see. Okay.
Same thing here. If you use Alliant or Black Hills,
Okay.
there's going to be a fee attached to it.
Okay, but then Black Hills will pass that along to the consumer, won't they?
100% onto the consumer. I'm not going to kid anybody on that, but we receive 100% of it too. There's some false identity out there that says, well, if you give Black Hills 3%, they decide to keep 1% to help with their paperwork. The city's only getting 2%. That's not true. This is written in. All of that comes right back to the city.
Okay. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
That's a great question.
Okay.
So when we first started talking about this, like I said, I'm against it, didn't like it. The max allowed by the state is a 5% franchise fee. So when we first started looking at this, that was the expectation. We would just ask for 5%. But like I said a little bit ago in the podcast, we're not in a position to need that money right now. But because of different legislative activities, we need to get that in place before the rules change. I was at a dinner the other night with 11 different mayors from central Iowa. Newton is the only city without a franchise fee. Every other city, since this has become legal, which was several years ago, has maxed out their levy or maxed out their fee. I went to our city staff and I said, you know what? We don't need this money today. Would it help? Absolutely. I'm not in the position to stockpile money. That's not a good thing for anybody, the consumer or the people running the budget. So my suggestion was, can we phase it in? 2%, 2%, 1%. So at the end of the third year, in 29, when I just told you a few minutes ago, we're 1.2 million upside down. Now we're at the full 5% and it can do the most good. It's not going to cover up everything that we're going to lose in that 1.2 million, but it would definitely help. Some of the other parts of that, I think a franchise fee in some ways is better than adding to your property taxes. There's a lot of people that don't pay property taxes. Nonprofits, churches, certain businesses don't pay property taxes. Everybody uses electricity. Everybody uses Black Hills. So everybody can help with the cost rather than just specific people.
So this would apply also to Alliant Energy, correct?
Absolutely. That's the only two right now that we're using, Alliant Energy and Black Hills. In talking with mayors in other cities, there's a lot of them that adds it to their cable bill and adds it to their water bill and adds it to. We're not looking at that. We are streamlining this the best we can to make the least impact on our citizens, but we've got to do something to be proactive. Or we have to start talking in services like we talked about earlier. And what service do we want to cut? And when I say that, I get very nervous because people always go, oh, cities, when they run short on money, they tell you they're going to cut police or they're going to cut firemen. I disagree with that. I can't protect you as a citizen if I don't have a proper police force. I can't protect the city of Newton if I don't have a proper fire department. So then you start looking at, okay, if we're not going to cut those, I could cut the entire library and it wouldn't phase the 1.2 million. I could cut the library, lay off half my street crews and not do any street work and start selling off parks to make up the difference. If you go to people in this town, they're going to tell you, I want my swimming pool. We have a fantastic library, one of the best in the state. We have a very active street crew. We've done more street work in the last 2 years than they've done in probably the last 10 to 15 years. You can look at Union Drive, brand new road. Last year, most people will tell you if they traveled up and down 8th Avenue, it was because we were repatching and
I see they're working on First Avenue out by Walmart and
Right.
Tyson's. Yeah.
And that was a citizen project that came to us. A citizen came to us and said, "Hey, we'd like sidewalks from First Avenue to Aldi's and Walmart."
And another department I don't think gets enough credit too is our Parks Department.
Absolutely, we have the most parks per capita of anywhere in the state. So, do we want to start going and saying, "Okay, this Aurora Heights Park, now that park belongs to XYZ company, and they're going to maintain it"? Now we've lost control over it. If they choose not to mow it, if they let the equipment get terrible, if they don't have anything inclusive, people want that thing. And we're getting ready to do some inclusive.
I was just going to bring that up, Randy, because I've been involved with the Variety Club of Iowa. In fact, at Christmas, WHO did a Variety Club radiothon, and they helped fund on the State Fair area, the east side, a accessible playground. I did a podcast with the Grinnell Parks and Rec Department. They have an accessible playground. They have one in Pella. Why not Newton?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, at the very last staff meeting I attended, we had that very discussion. Do we want to parse it out? So let's say we can get, just rough numbers, 10 inclusive activities. Do we want to put one in 10 different parks? Or do we want to find a park and make it all inclusive, which
Right.
is, I think, the way staff is kind of guiding us. We don't know what that part is yet, but we're getting close to doing it. We do have a couple grants that have been given to the city.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to getting that built for the people.
And just to let you know, Variety Club will help out with that if you
Good.
want to contact them and see if you can get a grant going.
Yep, I will talk to Erin Chambers and make sure she understands
Yeah,
that.
they're very good about that kind of thing.
Other sponsors include Lynette Baker, Halo Branded Solutions, Westside Java Coffee Bar, and the Made Right Sandwich Shop in downtown Newton. Until next time, grrr, out is out. See ya.